want to thank all the newcomers and people who have commented positively and are supporting the channel, and welcome newcomers and welcome back to my channel for those who have subscribed already. My name is Lorraine, Alternative Homesteading, and I'm going to read a couple of articles to you. One I just pulled up. One is called High Power Microwave Weapons Back in Focus. It is by a man named Sanatan Shreshka. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is his bio. I am Rear Admiral Dr. S. Shreshka, retired. I'm an alumnus of Jodhpur University with a gold medal in physics in post-graduation. In the Indian Navy, I specialize in quality assurance of naval armament. I have held various key appointments at Naval Command Headquarters, defense research establishments, ordnance factories, to finally become the Director General of Naval Armament Inspection, which is DGNAI. I superannuated from the Indian Navy in 2011. I am an alumnus of the prestigious National Defense College in New Delhi, India. I've been engaged in the study of strategic aspects of emerging technologies with specific relevance to national security issues. I have a doctorate from the School of International Studies at the Jawaharlal National University, JNU, in New Delhi. I have authored Negotiating Acquisition of Nanotechnology in India. I speak frequently at international conferences and contribute regularly to defense journals on maritime issues and defense technology. So he wrote this article. I mean, obviously, he's a credible person. It's a 6-page article, weapons, directed energy weapons, high-powered weapons. So I'm going to pull it up for you. And we'll see how much I can read. It is 6 pages long, but 2 pages are mostly references. So, high-powered microwave weapons back in focus. Directed energy weapons comprise of systems that use one of the following electromagnetic energy devices, namely high-power microwave radio frequency lasers that provide a burst of photons or particle beams. These weapons are very precise, adaptable, and flexible, since both power and frequency of transmission can be varied. They, however, face limitations due to power generation and heat dissipating capacity. All directed energy weapons operating in the RF spectrum from 100 megahertz to 100 gigahertz with corresponding wavelengths of 3 m's to 3 millimeters, and which can generate power of more or less 100 microwaves or more, are classified as high power microwave weapons, HPM. HPM scores over other directed energy weapons due to lower atmospheric attenuation and lesser propagation losses. Okay, so he's saying that high power microwaves score over directed energy weapons. Okay, high power microwave versus directed energy weapons do. So high power microwave is HPM, directed energy weapons are DEW, DEW. The HPM weapons comprise of 2 main categories, namely the narrow band and the wide or ultra wide band, UWB. Narrow band weapons generate a unique frequency centered on the nominal frequency of operation. For such weapons to be effective, the frequency of absorption of the target needs to be ascertained first. Wideband weapons overcome this deficiency by transmitting power across a wider range of frequencies. However, the power transmitted is less than that by narrow band weapons. Apart from the tracking, targeting, and control systems, the main components of the HPM weapon system comprise of a main power module, which generates a low power electrical long pulse, a pulsed power system to convert low power output of the main power module into high power short electrical pulses, a microwave source which utilizes the pulses from pulsed power system to convert them to electromagnetic waves, an optimizer system to distribute electromagnetic energy for transmission and coupling with the antenna, and lastly an antenna to direct the high power EM beam to the target. Okay? An antenna to direct the high power EM beam to the target. The HPM system depends upon the design of its radiating elements. If the system is not carefully designed, its radiated energy can damage its own equipment near the weapon. Critical aspects to be considered for effective radiation of the HPM pulse include, so this includes the following: directivity, which is the antenna design should be such that the HPM pulse does not radiate personnel and equipment in vicinity. See, I mentioned this on my other video, that all of the equipment that's being used against us radiates the same stuff back to the person using it. Efficiency. Matching of radiating element and feed should be such that standing waves are not generated. Power dissipation. Design of HPM antennas are large to ensure that non-radiating energy is dissipated without causing breakdowns. Dispersion. In applications where received signal processing is required, dispersion of antenna must be taken into consideration. The U.S. Air Force Research Laboratory, which is AFRL, Advanced Weapons and Survivability Directorate, have categorized 4 major types of electronic effects that are experienced when HPM is directed towards a target. Okay, that's you guys, that's me, that's you guys. So this is what happens when these advanced weapons are directed towards a target. These are: 1. Upset, which is a temporary disability, jamming of the electrical circuit component. 2. Lockup, temporary disablement, which requires reset for restoration of normal functioning. 3. Latch up, involves destruction of the node, which is radiated by the high power microwave weapon. And lastly, burnout, which results in melting of components or short circuiting. Sounds serious to me. There are 2 ways by which HPM weapon energy can be transmitted inside the electronics of the target, namely front door coupling mainly through the target's antenna, and back door coupling through any path other than the antenna. From the above discussions, it can be surmised that for inflicting damage upon the target, some of the factors that the high-power microwave weapons depend on are frequency and bandwidth of operation, power levels, duration of the pulse, distance and vulnerability of the target, and coupling and entry points. Isn't that exciting, folks? This is how they do it. So if somebody tells you, oh no, there's no such thing as high power microwave weapons. No, there's no such thing as directed energy weapons. No, they're not being used up on targets or the population. You can give them this article. It's written by a guy who knows what he's talking about. He's got extensive experience. The development roadmap of HPM weapons from the US DoD, Department of Defense, has indicated that it needed better capabilities in aircraft self-protection, ship defense against cruise missiles, countering artillery fire, suppression of enemy in integrated air defense systems. Oh, that must be sort of like the plane and helicopter over my house burning my grass this week with some kind of laser. I wonder if they were using a high power microwave to burn the grass. I don't know. Well, I wonder. Let's see. Self-protection, ship defense against cruise missiles, countering artillery fire, suppression of enemy integrated air defense systems, counter-proliferation, space control, security, and disruption or destruction of command and control assets. It was appreciated that the high-power weapons would be capable of meeting all the requirements of the DoD. However, the technical hitches to be overcome prior to acceptance pertain to successful demonstration of the high-power microwave weapons and the development agency's capability to provide compact, high peak power and or high average power, high-powered microwave sources, compact, high gain, ultra wideband, which is UWB antennas, compact, efficient, high power, pulse power drivers, predictive models for HPM effects, and lethality. Low impact hardening of systems against hostile and self-induced EMI, and reliable and affordable system integration requirements. The development of high-power microwave weapons was coordinated by the US DoD between the Army, the Navy, Air Force, and their laboratories. Here are following areas for development were indicated. Compact high-power microwave sources to include fourfold increase in the UWB output power, sixfold increase in the narrow bandwidth pulse length, and narrow band tunability up to an octave. The weight is more or less 500 pounds, and the volume is more or less 1.5 cubic feet, exclusive of antenna and pulse power. Wow, it sounds a little powerful to me. 500 pounds. Compact, high power, high gain, ultra wideband antennas to have a size of 18-inch diameter with more or less 15 to 20 dB, I don't know if it's decibels, of antenna gain. Compact, efficient, high power, pulse power drivers need to develop compact, high peak power greater than 50 GW, maybe that's gigawatts, I don't know, packages. The high power microwave effects and lethality to include RF testing of a wide range of air, sea, land, and space military assets, reliable prediction of RF effects, and the development of countermeasure techniques. I'm going to scroll down a little bit more. High-power microwave weapons. Much of the data on ongoing research and development of high-power microwave weapons is shrouded in secrecy, even after decades of developmental efforts. it is understood that the U.S. Department of Defense research on pulsed power, high power, microwave, electromagnetic weapons is currently being concentrated upon the abilities to disrupt the trajectory of missiles while in flight and degrading enemy communications and weapon system electronics. Some HPM weapons developed are portable, tunable, and are effective when fired miles away from a target. Do you hear that? Miles away from a target. Integration of high-power microwave weapons on unmanned aerial vehicles. Do you know what that is, folks? Drones, okay? Integration of high-power microwave weapons on unmanned aerial vehicles, drones, and or missiles is being attempted on a priority. Some of the available information in public domain is given below. So this is only what the public is being told. There is an anti-denial technology, they call it ADT, which is a type of microwave amplification by stimulated emissions of radiation, which is a maser, that operates in the millimeter wave band. It was developed by who other than Raytheon for the U.S. Air Force Research and Laboratory. The associated active denial system is a counter-personnel, non-lethal, which is an oxymoron, high-power microwave weapon. The ADS-2 is an improved, militarized version of the active denial system. Oh, this is a cute name. Project Sheriff, or Full Spectrum Effects Platform. It's a vehicle-mounted active denial system developed by Raytheon for the DoD's Office of Force Transformation. Do you hear that? It's a vehicle-mounted active denial system that is mounted on a vehicle. The unit contains a suite of lethal and non-lethal weapons mounted onto a single weapons platform. It provides a scalable response from a warning to discomfort to a lethal attack. Do you hear that? It goes from warning to discomfort to a lethal attack. It comprises a projectile detection and cueing, long-range acoustic hailing device, infrared and visible sensors, and various optical distractor devices, including high-power white lights and laser light sources. It also has a 12-gauge shotgun and 66. A 12-gauge shotgun and a 66 millimeter articulated launcher, which can fire and launch rubber bullets and non-lethal grenades. The lethality is provided by the 50 caliber machine gun of the Stryker ICV. Then there's the Silent Guardian of Raytheon. It's nearly 1/3 of the size and the power of other ADT systems, and it's also vehicle mounted. It has an auto tracking feature that can fire 2-second bursts of directed energy up to 250 meters away. So I'm going to say that the claim that I've made that I am being shot at while I'm mowing my grass on a ride-on mower is absolutely a possibility. Oh, here's another wonderful name that they concocted. Okay, so we've got the active denial technology, Project Sheriff, the Silent Guardian of Raytheon, and next we've got the Vigilant Eagle. It's a ground-based Raytheon weapons platform. It consists of 3 primary units, a command and control unit, a sensor unit, and an amplified antenna grid, which fires a beam of microwave energy. It's used to detect and disable surface-to-air missiles at airfields and commercial airports. It does this, listen to this, folks, by burning the electronic circuitry of the missile. So if you don't think that they can burn the electronic circuitry anywhere in your home, how about your cameras? That they can disable your cameras with these energy beams mounted on a vehicle driving by your house? You think they couldn't disable your cameras? You think they couldn't shoot you in the leg or the arm or the head? So the sensors are said to be so reliable and accurate that they provide a 360-degree dome of protection around an entire location. That's U.S. Patent US 8285533B2. Among others is an example that the Vigilant Eagle program continues to be relevant. The next one is the electro-magnetic pulse weapon. It's a high-power microwave pulses can be generated by various methods such as transformation of a chemical. You hear that? Of a chemical detonation through a flux of compression generator into a powerful electromagnetic field, or using batteries and capacitors, or use of reactive chemicals. Anybody else smell the odors of chemicals on their property when you walk out the door? It's understood that theoretically, a suitcase-sized device, you hear that? A suitcase-sized device could disrupt electronics in an area of about 1 mile. Do you hear that? Somebody could be carrying around a suitcase-sized device that could disrupt all the electronics in an area of about 1 mile. The weapon accomplishes this by sending either a single pulse or a series of fast, high-powered pulses of electromagnetic energy in the range of 100 megahertz to 20 gigahertz. These pulses are similar to a lightning strike or a nuclear blast. The power level of these pulses can be several hundred megawatts. The EMP weapon has a range of at least several hundred meters, but reportedly can be transmitted up to 15 kilometers. Now, it's saying that its intended targets include missiles, aircraft, vehicles, boats, communication, and TV transmissions. It can also disrupt or destroy an ignition system. Platforms for the EMF weapon are air-based, sea-based, and ground-based. They can be mounted on an aircraft or ships. The U.S. Air Force is considering attaching a high-powered microwave weapon to low Earth orbiting LEOs satellites to engage targets on the ground, air, and space. Do you hear that? They're employing high-powered microwave weapons mounted to ships on orbiting satellites to target people on the ground, air, and space. According to the U.S. Air Force, they can be tuned to disrupt or destroy. They are capable of generating an ultra-wideband pulse, which is UWBP, to destroy a variety of devices during a series of pre-selected multiple frequency pulses. Okay, I'm going to end here because there are a couple more pages on this. If anybody wants a copy of this PDF, you can download it. I can provide a link in the description section. And I also wanted to mention that one of my solar lights was stolen. And, you know, when Paws was dying, I wanted to, like, brush him for the last time. So, you know, I brushed him, I was petting him, I was talking to him and stuff. And the brush disappeared. The brush is gone. Somebody stole this brush. I was talking to a targeted friend today and mentioned it to him, and he said they probably didn't want you to have whatever it was that you brushed out of him. So yeah, so they stole, imagine, stealing the cat's brush, a solar light. I also wanted to mention that there have been some cyber stalkers on the channel, not just the gorilla one, but other people. And I noticed them leaving like extremely insulting, negative comments directed towards me on the Sam Vaknin video. Now, these people don't know me, and most of the time I'll just ignore it, delete it, and stuff. But I have no patience for provocateurs or people that are discrediting other people and stuff. Having an opinion is one thing, you know, engaging in some conversation, but instigating trouble is not permitted. And what I do is I report people like that, I remove them, and then they get blocked. Now, I wanted to ask, is your city or county or state complicit in your targeting? Well, money funnels into cities and states. It goes into the COPS program through the Department of Justice. And they have to apply for grants. And in my local newspaper, our local judge, it says flat out here, Judge Gabbard seeks grants for Jackson County. It baffles the mind here. I'm living here almost 5 years. And this is the first time I'm reading anything about this. But it seems to be something that's on the table for the last, I don't know, few months. And it goes on to say, in the past several weeks, I have been in several meetings closing out the year. The last meeting I attended was with the Cumberland Valley Area Development District and several other government and utility agencies. We discussed grant opportunities that are available for us in Jackson County. These include the ARC grants, which are used to assist in economic development in Appalachia. The ARC grants have 5 goals, which are building businesses, workforce, keyword, infrastructure, tourism, and community leaders and capacity. I can tell you, I'm living here almost 5 years. I haven't met anyone that I would deem a community leader in any capacity. We also discussed community block development grants, which are available to city and county governments for community projects. Land water conservation fund grants, which are used for recreational development, recreational trail grants. Renovating trails, as well as acquire land for trail development. excuse me, the USDA grants, Homeland Security grants. Well, we all know what that's about, right? Homeland Security, the Targeted Individual Program, and House Bill 9 facts that we will be applying for in a grant match assistance. The meeting was a success. And we discussed many grant areas, and we will plan to visit the upcoming year in hopes of having some nice projects up and going in Jackson County. Well, I'm not going to read the rest of this little article here. The only words that I have to say about this is the word hypocrite. See that? Hypocrite. Moving on. I'm going to read a couple of paragraphs or pages in the Global Thuggery, Insights on Control by Terror, Torture, Targeting of American Citizens. Oh, by the way, my glasses were stolen too. This is Chapter 54, Peril. The second red-hot BB to pierce my throat stopping midway occurred at a red light at a major intersection just as I began to move forward and turn right. The invisible BB was like the first that had hit me a week earlier when I was reading in bed. In slow motion, it had come to rest in a sensitive part of my throat. But the second one was more pronounced and much more painful. Some kind of laser-type weapon, I assumed, fired at the time when dozens of vehicles were in my own 50-yard radius. See, here he's saying it. These are weapons that are attached to vehicles surrounding the target that are harming them personally, harming their property and harming their pets. Because anything that is directed from a street onto the target can be directed anywhere around the target. He said, my neck, still feeling the effect of the first attack, ached for hours from the second, more painful attack. That happened about 3 weeks ago, and as I write this, I still feel an incessant throb that sometimes almost disappears, but always returns with a vengeance. A pea-sized force entering one's neck as he sits in traffic with dozens of vehicles and drivers around. No blood, no resounding noise, no visible weaponry. Cold-blooded, first-degree murder is now invisible. Indeed, lasers, masers, dews, biologicals, and chemicals render assassination by guns, arrows, and knives archaic. And how do police direct who the laser operative perpetrator might be, assuming such a case could be investigated, or assuming the investigators were not the perpetrators themselves? Good point. An elderly lady who is continually under severe dew attacks keeps asking me, how much assault can one human body take? Might anyone anywhere really know what perilous ground we humans are treading upon lately? The assassins know, but they're not telling. Chapter 55, Inoperative. Halfway through my first wake-up morning coffee, a feeling of strong... Oh, my camera's wiggling now. Do you see that? It's wiggling. A feeling of strong resolve emanated from within. Get back to work. Enough excuses. Do something. How much time do you think you have? A dozen projects were looming, with several more dozen not even begun. Did I really believe in covert and well-funded terror, torture, assassination program could just go away on its own volition? Sure, just like MK Ultra and COINTELPRO supposedly went away after a long congressional investigation. Get up, get busy. Look how many of the TIs are doing with fewer means. Do something high tech. At least join Facebook. Well, perhaps not that far. On and on, the mental chatter scolded. I deserve the criticism. Through a second and final coffee, the plans for finishing a dozen projects in the next 3 years were laid out in my mind. Yes, 4 per day, allowing 2 to 3 hours for each project. A quick breakfast, then my dog vomited. 5 times. A yellow bile with saliva for most of the part. But any type of upchucking is cause for concern. I cleaned up, comforting a confused dog who was in distress. We both knew this was happening too often. I took her out and looked at the sunny silver skies and understood. For 2 days, the skies had been a deep blue, which is a rarity since 2013. Today, through a silver sheen, the telltale streaks of a heavier sheen were visible, but barely. My dog sniffled, and I took a few deep breaths, expecting the pungent smell like a metallic taste and burning eyes and lungs, but nothing. Within 10 minutes, Baby was settled in, and I was looking through notebooks that held the clues to the completion of several project puzzles. I never found them. Instead, I sat down quickly, suddenly exhausted. The smell, the taste, burning lips and lungs suddenly permeated all. Hours passed. Neither my dog nor I moved. My throat burned, as did my lungs, a feeling I've never experienced before, the disabling, knowing stage of becoming a targeted individual. You don't do your best work when you feel as if you're going to throw up in any instant. Often no work gets done until you're able to think more clearly. Certainly, part of their malevolent plan is making the target unable to think or function normally. It is an intense, draconian form of mind control that deprives a human being of his or her actual psyche or self. It is psychological unaliving. I'm just replacing the word. Which too often results in the target's physical death. Dark, inhumane murderers. Simplistically, I once truly believed that evil might have emanated from concentration camps where Frankensteinian doctors did the unimaginable to human prisoners, and then these doctors pushed their way into America to take up practice. And these doctors gave us MK Ultra and its 150 sub-projects, or so much that Americans would never do such things, right? Baloney. The concentration camp scientists did not have to sneak into America. They were brought in by our own military and warmly welcomed. 10,000 of them, according to the last documentary I watched, although the real figures are not far. They're not for us to know. One of the most evil of them was flown to America on a presidential plane. Didn't we think anybody was keeping an eye on such things? As I write, a cold silver yellow sun manages to pierce through a silver sheened sky. I realize there may be very few days without the pungent burning smell. So the writing and other projects meant to inform fellow Americans about the malevolence never before seen in the history of the world will not be perfect, but I will continue in an effort to penetrate the haze. Chapter 56. Pets, too? One would hope that whoever is targeting humans would not stoop to torturing pets as a mean of further torturing the targeted individual. Yet experiential evidence and testimony supplied by numerous TIs have indicated quite the opposite. We know, for example, that technological advances with lasers and microwaves enable operators to manipulate various parts of the body, including the brain. The advertised purpose of such technology is to improve a person's health. However, in the wrong hands, the same technology can be used to create disease in targeted humans as well as their pets. Because the use of such technology leaves no discernible mark, it is quote-unquote deniable. Thus, the subject has no verifiable clue why he or she or even the pet suddenly has an inexplicable disease. Or how about a hole burned into their face? Or how about the same hole burned into the side of a rooster? Or how about my healthy 4-year-old cat going from completely healthy to be completely paralyzed from the waist down and then dying? Or how about Paws that just died? Or how about the 27 other cats? Since I moved to rural Kentucky, I will never shut up about what's been done to my pets here. And I will be doing a video about it. I might have to make it private and invite you all separately, because you will see what was done to my cats, both in New Jersey and here in Kentucky. Our 7-year-old beloved dog suddenly developed what a local vet called diabetes. The dog's parents had never had diabetes, nor had any of her siblings. Over a period of a month and a half of insulin therapy, her symptoms gradually disappeared. One vet was astounded, saying he never heard of such a thing. My wife and I were astounded as well. For 3.5 to 4 months, our beloved dog was healthy. She exhibited no signs of diabetes. Then, after her heat cycle ended, the symptoms reemerged. This time, they persisted. Nor did they respond to the insulin at all. She lost 10 to 15 pounds in a matter of weeks and developed cataracts in both eyes and glaucoma in one, making her virtually blind. This is the second dog in a matter of 2 years to develop cataracts and glaucoma. And all the years we have owned dogs, never had such conditions developed. Would the perpetrators who torture human targets purposely hurt a target's pet? Of course they would. Why? A. To drain the target's income. B. To fill the target's waking hours with vet appointments, dispensing medicine, cooking special foods to supplement bought foods, and consoling the distressed animal. C. To make the target appear deluded if he or she confides suspicions of foul play to the veterinarian. D. To further traumatize the target with the knowledge that yet another beloved pet will be taken away, thus impacting the target's health and well-being further. C. To remove the TI's remaining companion and friends. Can it be proven that our pets are targeted? Certainly not. Oh, well, that's not true. They just steal the evidence, like stealing a hairbrush, or stealing the rooster who has the same hole as a hole in Chiclet's face. As soon as I posted those videos side by side, the rooster disappeared, and Chiclet died. Can it be proven that our pets are targeted? Certainly not. The technology used is as invisible and deniable as that used on targeted individuals. According to Citizens Against Harmful Technology, the government is paying people to torture and kill beloved animals in the same way they are torturing animals. Torturing humans. I know that you guys are going to have comments about your own pets. And I direct you to my Facebook page called Targeted Pets. If you look at the photos, I believe that Facebook even blurred out one of my cat Peaches, who had her eyes torn out of her head and thrown out on Christmas Day in the rain. And I photographed her like that, with booze bottles around her body. And yes, they did similar thing to my mother's cat. They blinded my mother's cat, and then she died. They burned a hole in Chicklet's face. They wasted Paws, a 3-year-old cat. My cat Comet in New Jersey was also like a 4-year-old cat. They gave her throat cancer. And then they gave my cat Emmy nose cancer. I have photos to show you. And then they killed 2 other cats, healthy young cats, and they posed them. They posed them in the house for me to find them. I would leave. And I rescue cats. So during the spay and neuter process, I have them in pet carriers or in cages in my house. I would go out, run my errands, and come back, and the criminals had been inside, opened the cages, and harmed their eyes. I would come home and their eyes would be tearing, and they would be scared when I opened up the door. These people are despicable. They're disgusting. Military or not, neighbors or not, I don't care who you are. Historically, people who torture animals are psychopaths. The prisons are filled with people just like these criminals that torture animals for sadistic pleasure. That's why, and I've had people say to me, "Oh, did you get your cat to the vet?" First of all, I've been caring for cats, rescuing cats, since I'm a child, but literally for the last 20 years. I know how to care for my cats. You cannot care for a cat. You will not heal a cat that has been targeted by these perpetrators. It is carefully designed for you to spend as much money and time as possible on that animal. They're going to kill it anyway. It does not matter what you do. So I will make my pets as comfortable as possible. They have a beautiful life. They eat wonderful food. They have beds and heat and toys and other friends to play with. When they're being targeted, they're going to die. I know it. I do as much as I possibly can. No, I'm not going to take them to the vet and spend that money. I have spent thousands of dollars in New Jersey before I realized what was happening. Thousands and thousands of dollars. Like the criminal that intentionally hit my cat with a car, and he had to be put to sleep. Or how about the other cat that they picked up and cracked his hips? And yeah, I've got x-rays to show you. They cracked his hips, dislocating his tailbone. Or how about on December 10, 2018, the Manalapan effing police department, Lieutenant Thomas Mantle, the former chief of police Michael Fountain, Edward Neese, who's now the chief of police, all their other little minions, Reggie Grant, the stalker, who stalked me for 2 years at the bagel store, who tells me my house wasn't broken into when the door jamb was pulled away and there were striation marks on the locks, tortured my cat Cinnamon. I watched him try to get up, and he was hit with a directed energy weapon. I watched it happen. I watched them kill a healthy cat in my own house. And then what did they do? I was up with that cat all night and watched him die. And then the next day, Lieutenant Thomas Mantle calls me on the phone. Can we stop by? We'd like to give you a property report, a property theft report, or whatever it was called. I said to him, you've never given me one before. Oh, it was a property loss report. You've never given me one before. He said, oh, yes, we have. I said, no, you have not. Not in all the police reports I filed for theft and vandalism, you never did. And I'm thinking, why would he want to drop it off? Hours go by, and he shows up with his minions, Tina Booth, no certifications, no license, no badge, no form of identification. I didn't even know her name. Shows up with an officer to take my vandalism report of the tree in front of my house, which was obvious. It was obvious. Somebody took a saw to it and also broke branches off of it. It was obvious. They were telling me I'm delusional. I'm showing you evidence. You murdered my cat the night before. Oh, but no. They had it all planned to Baker Act me. They wanted me to go to the Centra State Hospital and get drug tested so they can collect my DNA, search my house when I was gone, because yeah, they were. I've got the video on my channel of them still on my driveway after I was gone. And they stayed there for at least a half an hour inside my house, wiping clean the porch video cameras, but the idiots forgot to wipe clean the camera footage of them all over my driveway. And no, I will never shut up about this, because they're criminals. They're paid for hire murderers. They are the terrorists. Not me. They are. They're psychopaths. They're sociopaths. Half of them there, and I don't care. Some of them, somebody told me that some of those little boys are really little girls that were transitions. I don't know for sure. I'm not even going to attempt at discussing that, other than there was one time I filed a police report. It was like 10 o'clock at night. I go there with my information and stuff. I go inside. I go sit by a desk. And on their computer screen was a guy. He looked like a model. he was all sprawled out, the pecs and everything like that. And I'm like thinking, like, why are these guys like looking at this guy? And then it occurred to me that they're probably gay. But he has an inclination to point it out to me. He said, "Oh, I need to change the screen. We're only allowed to have our emblem on there." It's like, I don't really care what you've got on your computer screen. I'm just here to file a police report. Like, what, did you do that for me? You trying to get a reaction from me? Here I am thinking, oh, I'm shocked that you're not looking at naked women. But no, you're looking at men. Okay, so I get it. I just want to file my police report. So that's what it's like at the Manalapan Police Department, boys and girls, men and women. Corruption at its finest. So yeah, they do target your pets. And I will be doing a series on every cat that they tortured. They also broke the neck of my canary and suffocated our chinchilla. And then what they did, they had the audacity to do, and this is really disgusting. I rescued cats on Pets on Death Row from the New York City AC. It's a kill shelter. And I would adopt like the oldest, worst cats just to give them the best possible life at the end. One of them had a huge tumor, but she was doing really well. She was doing really well. And every time I would leave the house and come back, something would happen to her. And again, I didn't know what was going on. They tortured her until she died. Then we adopted another cat, Lily. And she was doing great. And then they gave her mange while living in my house. She was beautiful, perfect, healing really well. I guess whoever owned her before didn't want her or whatever. And she was doing great. And the same thing, I would leave the house, come back, and something would go wrong. And they tortured her to death. Breaking the neck of a canary. Smothering, suffocating a chinchilla. These people are sick. And many of you guys have sent me photos of the burns you found on your pets. And many of you have reported these things to PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I think that they've been silenced. They know what's going on. They're choosing to not get involved. So anyway, folks, I'm going to end here. It's late. I need to get some sleep. This is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. I'm never going to shut up about this. And they're lying. They may think it's deniable. It's not deniable. I just read you the article. Written by a guy, a doctor, with a lot of experience on directed energy weapons and high-powered microwave weapons. They can be portable in a suitcase. They can be attached to a vehicle. They have a ground-based Raytheon weapons platform. They have an amplified antenna grid, which fires a beam of microwave energy. The sensors are said to be so reliable and accurate that they provide a 360-degree dome of protection around an entire location. And they provide the patents here. They offer an electro-magnetic pulse weapon with transformation of a chemical detonation through a flux compression generator into a powerful electromagnetic field, or using batteries and capacitors, or use of reactive chemicals. The generated high-powered microwave can be made to function similar to an EMP by focusing it using a specifically shaped antenna. It's understood that theoretically, a suitcase-sized device could disrupt electronics in an area of 1 mile. You hear that? 1 mile. A suitcase-sized device could disrupt the electronics in an area of 1 mile. I'm going to end on that note, folks. I'll see if I can post a link to this article in the comments section. This is Lorraine, Alternative Homesteading, signing off for now.